Welcome back. TMRW Podcast, Makayla Cluff. How y'all doing?
Doing awesome.
Doing good.
We were just talking about, like, literally right before we started, there's like 10 billion different podcasts out there. And I was telling you earlier, Donnie, I really want to make this, and I'm not like trying to say this has to be the best podcast of all time. We got to make this thing like the only listenable information ever, right? But
it's my fault if not.
Right. But I want this to be something that's like worth the listen, right? Worth the turn on. Yeah, let's get through it. And I think we've got a great opportunity for that today. We've got Makayla Cluff here. She's a professional soccer player for Utah Royals here with us in the flesh.
I told her I could take her on one-on-one.
Yeah.
I don't want that matchup. I don't want it.
I was going to say, she seems confident, though. I don't know. I'd like to say we got enough space in here. We do. Makayla, thanks for joining us. This is awesome. I'm going to talk a little bit about your life, but want to start off talking about your career right here and now with the Royals. First of all, this is new, right? So you just recently been traded to the Utah Royals. Did you do a little bit of pre-professional stint here with like their minor team, or how did you?
Yeah.
Talk to us a little bit about how you got here.
Yeah. So
back to Utah because you're from here.
Yeah. So I'm from here. The Royals were a team before I was a professional player. When I was in college, the Royals were an organization, and I was always like interested in playing for them eventually, but I mean, you can't really predict where you're going to go or how that's going to work out. So when I was in college, they would occasionally have trainings or just different things that they would need like extra players for, and they gave us some exposure to their environment while we were kind of helping them, because at the professional level, you always need more numbers and people in training that aren't actually going to play in the game, you know?
Some bodies.
Yeah,
Yep.
yeah. So me and a couple of my BYU teammates did that from time to time with the Royals, and then the Royals got sold. And so I was like, oh, that kind of sucks. Like, I kind of hoped that I would eventually play for them after graduating college.
Who bought them? Do you know?
I don't know who the owner was, but they went to Kansas City.
I guess that's what I meant.
Yeah.
So they went to Kansas City. Okay.
Yeah.
There was no team here.
So there was no professional. Yeah, there was no NWSL team here.
Wow. Okay.
So that kind of like before. I mean, I'm from here, so I was looking forward to the opportunity to play for like
Your hometown.
my hometown and at the professional level. So that was kind of a bummer, and I wasn't pumped about it. But whatever. I just figured I'd finish my collegiate career, and then I went to Orlando after that. And
so I was gonna say you got drafted by the Pride, by the Orlando Pride, and I think 14th overall. Does that sound right?
Yeah.
So they have a full draft. Same thing.
It's a lot smaller than like the NFL draft or something. But yeah, full draft, same setup.
That's awesome.
So Makayla, how many rounds are in that professional draft?
So at the time that I was drafted, there was 4, and now I think it's up to 6.
Oh wow.
Yeah, because there's more teams, the league's grown, and there's more people entering the draft.
Okay, so 4 rounds, but you were picked in the first round, 14th overall.
Yeah.
That means you're a big deal.
That's actually that's
what you guys are paid to say.
Signing bonus.
That's right. Actually, Donnie he paid me right before this.
Yeah, I knew it. I knew there was some sheep.
Get a little money out of that. No, that's incredible. 14 overall. That's serious. So you went to the Pride, but as I was reading up on you a little bit, something kind of weird happened, right? So that was in the COVID year. You got drafted in 2021, but you didn't make your debut for the Pride until like what, 2022?
Yeah.
Ish. What walk us through what happened?
So yeah, it's kind of COVID made everything weird, but
yeah.
So we
people are still weird.
Yeah. I agree. Yeah. We're still recovering.
The last resounding effect here.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Yep. So yeah, I was set to graduate in 2020. December. Well, actually it would have been 2021, but my last collegiate season would have been 2020.
Okay.
I would have finished that December. Well, that season got canceled because of COVID, and so we then had like this
NIL year,
weird
COVID year.
Yeah, like this. We had like a 10-game season that they didn't really count towards your eligibility. So then you had the choice of you can be done, like you finished your 4 year, like I was done with school and everything at that point, or you can play one more season and finish like have your true senior season, full season, everything in 2021. And that usually the soccer season's the fall, but that ended up being in the spring.
Oh, okay.
So anyways, but the draft still happened in January of 2021, even though I hadn't technically played my true senior season.
Interesting.
But there's a lot of kind of parts to it. So you don't technically have to enter the draft to be drafted. So like, because I had played
Do they
4
just draft your
years.
rights? Did they draft the rights to you? Is that kind of what they're doing?
They drafted me. They can draft rights. That's like another thing. But no, they just drafted me. And going into it, like before they drafted me, they contacted my coach at BYU and they were wondering if I would be wanting to come right away or if I was gonna prolong it and like play my senior season that I had the option to do. And it kind of like worked against me a little bit because it took my draft stock down because I didn't have a lot of leverage. Like they could draft me in January and get me in whenever I went, July or whatever, or they like they didn't need to draft me. But the problem was that I couldn't refuse to be drafted, if that makes sense.
No, it. Well, let me ask you this: but you went back, so it was your choice then.
It was my choice.
Your choice to whether to go or to stay.
Sure, but I didn't enter the draft because I was hoping technically, kind of, that I wouldn't get drafted because if I entered the draft, I would have gone in a higher pick because the teams would have got me right.
Hey,
away.
yo, that's weird now.
Yeah.
So you're telling me they can pick you before you want to be picked.
Yeah, not in a normal situation, but because of COVID throwing everything off, it made that draft funky.
Got it. So that was that COVID rule or that like COVID exception that they threw in there because that is weird. I was wondering. So I saw that. I was like, okay, she was drafted in 2021, didn't make her debut until 2022. Yeah. And I'm thinking maybe there's like a farm league, but then I'm sitting there thinking, no, she was drafted 14th overall. Like they probably wanted her on the field. So I just didn't know how that whole thing went down.
Yeah.
Okay, so you went back, you played your last year, but then you're fast forward, you go to Orlando, you're with the Pride. Did you spend 2 seasons with them?
Yeah, so I played 2022 and 2023 with them.
Yeah.
How'd you guys do?
So 2022, we didn't do great. We had like a coaching change mid-season. We had a lot of big trades happen, and it was just kind of like a building year.
Okay.
We actually had Alex Morgan, which I would assume you guys are familiar with her name at least.
She's horrible. I guarantee you Makayla Cluff, though.
I was going to say.
You know what I mean?
But yeah, she was on the Pride, and then she got traded right before. So that's like a big trade. The team was kind of in a rebuilding year, whatever.
Got it.
2023, much better, like had a lot of stability. We were like really good, and we missed the playoffs by 1 game. So we won our last game, but we actually were tied for the same amount of points as the team that got in before us, but they had goal differential tiebreaker. So we barely missed playoffs.
Came down to the last nose.
Yeah.
Super cool.
But yeah, it was a good year.
All right, let me ask you this because look, there's a couple of points that I want to make about this because one, I love your career. You have an incredible college career, and we'll talk a little bit about that, what you did at BYU. But I'm fascinated right now. I want to understand from your perspective. Right now, you're a professional soccer player. You're at the top of your game, right? For all intents and purposes, you're in your prime. I would imagine, I kind of want to understand from you, what's different now? What are you doing differently now than maybe you were doing in college to allow yourself to just stay competitive and be the very best you can be? I mean, now you're a professional, so you kind of have to. It's not a hobby. It's
and also because not everyone gets to be a pro like you, or not alone, let alone be drafted first round.
Yeah,
which is huge.
Yeah, it's kind of a hard question because, to be honest, I've kind of grown with my career growing, so it's kind of just been like it's just happened naturally.
It's like an evolution.
Yeah, but I do have to say, like, it is to the point now at the level that I'm at, like, it's my life. Like, people might say that in college, and like to some extent it is, but to be competitive at the highest level against like top players in the world, not just the country, the world, I definitely have to like take care of everything off the field way before I can even begin to perform on the field. And it becomes your life. Like every decision I make outside of being at the facility every day and training and preparing for training in the mornings and stuff, like it's all based around how is this going to affect me tomorrow? Or like once I go home at the end of the day, like how am I taking care of myself, my body, my nutrition, whatever it might be, even just like activities that take energy and time away from certain things. Like it all plays a factor in how I'm going to perform. So
it's 1,000%. I would imagine not just physical, but even your mental. I mean, you've got. I mean, to play on that level, there's a difference between a lot of people have skills. You know what I mean? A lot of people are skilled enough hypothetically to get to that level, but do they have it all? Are they well rounded enough, not just physically but mentally and emotionally, and all of those things factor in on a professional level? I would imagine. I only played professional sports for 10 or 15 years. That's an experience I can speak of.
So you're no expert?
Yeah, I'm no expert, but I like to dabble. Very cool. I guess, Makayla, where I want to go with that, and maybe let's talk about this, because again, I think one of the points that I want to make, and kind of want to draw out through this podcast is, at least in this specific episode, is this. I think in all facets of life, in all industries, most humans like to think that they're progressing. You know what I mean? That if you've got a natural skill set, you're honing that skill to get to whatever that next level might be. All too often, I think we fool ourselves. People sometimes start to wonder why. Let's take it from maybe a middle school level, right? Like, I've got middle school level skills. We graduate to high school. It's like, why am I not performing like I used to here? Well, things change, regimes change, your focus changes, your nutrition changes, the demand on you changes. And a lot of people don't adapt. And I would argue that most athletes don't adapt, and most become stagnant. And
that's what separates you from, high school to college to pro.
Yeah.
What huge separation gaps.
It's what keeps guys like me on the couch watching girls like you play professional sports, right? So it's like there are differences. I want to dissect that in specific in your story. So maybe let's talk about that. Your training regimen. What's that look like for a professional athlete in women's soccer? What are you doing day by day? Let's start in the mornings.
Yeah, well, you want me to walk you through my whole everyday?
Let's do it. We've got time.
All right. I'll be detailed. Hopefully it's not too much.
Yeah.
So every day we have to be at the facility by 7:30 to 8, depending on if you have treatment that morning, if you're just, healthy, you don't need treatment, whatever. So yeah, I show up, I get treatment right now because I'm dealing with an injury. Go to breakfast. We have like a team breakfast in the cafeteria together.
Yep.
Start rolling out just your typical, some people will hot tub, ice bath, roll out, foam roll, stretch, whatever. That takes like an hour, I'd say. Just get ready, just get prepping your body for the day. And then we usually have film in the morning. It's usually like 30 minutes to an hour. And then prehab, which is just like in the gym together, just like getting your body activated.
Okay, and at this time, prehab, we're talking, what time is that?
Prehab's like, we're looking at 10.
So it's 10 in the morning.
Yeah.
So it's like, so you guys have done 11 things.
Yeah.
And it's 10 in the morning.
Yeah,
I actually,
and we're doing some pre-work here.
Good on this team because I love that stretch.
Oh yeah.
I love stretch.
No, that's like one of my favorite parts.
That's Donnie's world. Yeah,
that makes me like happy.
that's Donnie's world.
Yeah. That's same for me, honestly. I love that part of it.
All right, so we're prehabbing at 10. A lot of the world rehabbing at 10. But you're prehabbing at 10.
Prehabbing at 10. Yeah. And that's like you're all together, and then get out on the field and start training. Training's usually, depending on the day and depending on when your next game is, it's an hour and a half to 2 hours on the field. And then we're inside. We have a lift, like on average, I'd say 3 times a week. So we have like a 30-minute break to get inside, maybe get a little snack,
Get some food.
Whatever, yeah.
Yep.
Yeah, and then lift. And then after lift, it's usually post training treatment, whether it's with hands-on with our trainers or sauna, hot tub, ice bath.
Yep. Yep. Get your body right after did your workout, your practice.
Yeah, do all your individual needs that you have. Get in the cafeteria again, have a team lunch, and then you're pretty much done. After that, it's just a lot of like personal needs. Everyone kind of has their own needs that they have to take care of after that point. But the day usually wraps up around like somewhere between 2 and 3.
Somewhere between 2 and 3. Okay, and so one of the things that I guess, Makayla, that stood out to me, so usually you want me to go through the details. It's interesting. That's where it's at. You know what I mean? And you hear through almost all aspects, whether you're in sales or, whatever profession you're in, that the attention to progress is absolutely in the details. You know what I mean? Donnie says, yeah, it's where I live my life. And Donnie's a progressive guy. You know what I mean? He makes things happen. Details are super important. So, okay, so we understand a little bit of that, and that's keeping you cutting edge and competitive and able to stay in the game. How different is that from BYU, which, by the way, Makayla, actually, walk us through a couple things. One, sweet brag on yourself a little bit about what you did at BYU. I think BYU, you're like one of the more I was just saying, you're one of the more decorated players there. So go ahead and like give us a walkthrough of your accomplishments.
You're talking about you right now. It's all eyes.
I want to know about it. So talk to us a little bit about, you know, what you did at BYU, maybe the difference in kind of some of the training regime. But before we do that, explain to myself so I understand it concretely and the rest of the world. What is a midfielder? So you're a midfielder. I understand positionally you do a lot on defense and a lot on offense, but I'm not exactly sure exactly what. So break us down. What's a midfielder? Sure. Where have you been excelling?
So a midfielder, yeah, like you said, does both attacks and defends. You have multiple midfielders on the field at a time. You'll have attacking midfielders and defensive midfielders. Obviously, they speak for themselves. One attacks more, one defends more. I, at BYU, was an attacking midfielder. If you're in the soccer world, that's called a 10 because positions have numbers associated with them.
Okay.
So you'll primarily hear people call it like, oh, you play the 10.
Okay.
Meaning like perfect 10.
Yeah, I wish. Yeah, we'll say that. Yeah.
Perfect 10. So, well, I would imagine, yes, and I would imagine also based on the players on the field. How many do you have on the field? Is 11?
11.
Okay, yeah. So you're, okay, yep. Yeah. So you're 10.
Yeah. And the 10 is known to be, I would say is known to be like the quarterback of the team. Like everything kind of runs through the 10. They're playmakers, that kind of thing. The defensive midfielders are usually known as the 6. There's also an 8 in there, but primarily the 6. And that's more like they're right in front of the defending back line. So they get into the attack a little bit, but they're primarily like ball winners, like
defense.
Defending, and they just kind of distribute to the attacking players.
Got it. Makes sense.
Yeah.
And is that what you're playing on the Royals right now too?
More so. I've kind of fluctuated a little bit back and forth, but BYU I was primarily 10. Orlando I was primarily the 6. So then here I've been the 6 more, and then I got injured, but I'm kind of like more fluid.
Is that where the 8 comes in when you're doing a little bit of both?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yep. Makes sense. All right. So at BYU you were the 10, so you were scoring.
Yeah.
That's part of like facilitating the offense.
Yeah.
That's what I want to know as well. Yeah.
Gosh, I should honestly know that. I don't know for sure.
Did you average a goal a game?
Her last year she did. Right?
You probably know.
I was going to say, sorry,
I don't even know.
Almost. I think you had 18 goals your last season.
That sounds about right.
I think you had 18.
It was in that ballpark,
I
at least.
know she didn't score on USC.
Wait a second.
Did you guys play English?
Think about that.
I was going to say, she may have, man.
I think you actually had 2 goals at USC.
So, because I was trying to look, is it like 18 to 20 games in a collegiate season?
Yeah.
Is something in there? And so that's what I was trying to say. Is like, did she ever average a point? I think you did. I think you were that or a point off from averaging a point. Which is awesome. She scored a lot.
Yeah.
Well, thank you. Yeah, I scored more at BYU than I do now.
And then you was it your sophomore year? Did you also score a gang of goals, like 16? And then maybe you dipped to 12, and then had like I don't know.
I think I progressively climbed. I might be wrong. That's like a lot of things to remember. You might be right.
No. Guarantee you're right.
I'm pretty sure
I just
had
read
a
up
few
on
my freshman year, and then I think I went like. If these numbers are right, I think it was around like 12, 16, 18. Like that sounds about right.
Yeah. 12, 16, 18. I think I had them mixed up the order. So, yeah, in any case, 18, it's like a goal a game. Makayla, so you mentioned your day starting very early, ending at 3 o'clock in the pros. You come home, you got to make sure that your head's right and everything for the next day to make sure you do it all again. Mm-hmm. How's it differ when you were at BYU?
BYU, at the time, I thought it was like, wow, this is intense, which it is. Like I said, college sports aren't like easy, but you have so many other things to kind of like take you away from sport in college. Like you're in school, first of all. Yep. So like you spend more than half your day, whether it's studying or in class or whatever, and you can only be on the field in the facilities, whatever, for so long. Whereas in the pros, like it's not limited. Like you could be there all day,
Good
you
point.
know?
Yep.
So that's the first difference. I would also say like the season in college is 3 months, and now my season's like 9-10 months.
Wow.
So that's the other big
Substantial.
change, you know, like you're only in the hard grind for 3 months in college, whereas like in the pros, it's your life. Like there's not really an end in sight. It's just kind of like, this is what I do every day.
Yeah.
So yeah, those are the big.
It's kind of cool to see that you see that big like difference from college to, you know, the pros. I think going back to talking about your structured day, it is amazing to see how any pro sport you're in, structure is massive, like to a T, with like even your sleep, because that is your life. And if you don't take care of that, and if you're not being strict to your structure, I mean, you can be pulled away or kicked off so fast.
Well, then you're
But that's how you're making a living, right? Like in college, you're having fun, and sure, there is structure and there is a competitiveness of like making sure you're going to be out on the field. But when you get to the pros, I mean, there's no like second door really, right? You have to be strategic and you have to be structured.
Totally, man. Without the structure, I piggyback off that, man. Without it, you're whimsical.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And at best, you're getting lucky. Structure allows you to understand most of the time what the outcome's going to be. So I love that, D. Let me ask you, Makayla, when did you know, like when I'm not saying like when did you know, like when people, like when did you know for sure you were going to be a professional athlete? Did you know before college?
No.
Okay.
Yeah, it's hard to pinpoint it, but I kind of, without sounding arrogant or something, I knew that I would have that possibility if I wanted it. I was more unsure of if that was like what I wanted to do with my life.
You said you knew that in high school that it was a possibility if you wanted to go
Well, I wouldn't say I knew in high school. Once I was in college, I knew that I would have that chance if I wanted it.
I don't think it's arrogant because look, you got to figure the percentage of the world that's a professional athlete, very, very, very small. I would argue that the majority of them know relatively early, like, oh, hey, I run a lot faster than most of the people next to me. Like, I jump higher than these fools. You know what I mean? Like, I think people recognize it early on. So I was just wondering for you, the reason I asked is because I wanted to know when you turned that gear on and how much of a difference you had to put into your work ethic to understand, like, look, I've got the skills. What extra juice do I kind of have to put into it? So I was interested to know.
Yeah.
So you would say, so when did you make the decision? Were you a freshman in college?
I didn't even like indefinitely make the decision. I kind of, like I said at the beginning, I kind of like grew into my career because I didn't want to like put definitive answers on anything. I didn't know for sure where I'd be, if I'd be married,
You're living in the moment.
Yeah, like I didn't really, I wouldn't say that I was dead set on anything at any point.
Yep.
Once I entered like my junior year of college, I was like, yeah, I'm not done playing soccer. Like I want to keep playing.
Love that.
Yeah.
Okay. Very cool. You mentioned being married.
Yeah,
I was just going to say, let's talk about Jackson, right? So we were talking a little bit before. It's not as if I know.
I guarantee I'll strike him out. Position. Tell him I'll throw it 3.
Good. He can take BP from you in the offseason.
We'll have a follow-up thing. A couple challenges been initiated. We'll have a follow-up.
Yeah, we have to now. We gotta document it.
I want to bring in a wrestler next week to see what Donna can do. But your husband's name's Jackson. He plays professional baseball. I think you were mentioned for the Nationals right now.
Just so cool.
Yeah.
Super cool. I wanted to know, what's that like, managing 2 professional careers? So we're in New York.
Yeah.
And you're here.
Mm-hmm.
Y'all are both playing professional sports.
By the way, before you
Super
do
cool.
that, I want to know your kids because you guys are gonna have to freak out.
Yeah.
Like
People say that.
your kid on my team, whatever team I'm coaching.
Yup.
You know,
And when they're not playing sports, they can come work for us too. We'll get them on.
Yeah. People say that, and then we're like, just watch. We're gonna have kids, and they're gonna be like musically talented, or we're like, like we're not gonna be able to relate to them, and we're like, who are these kids?
Love that. But yeah, so I guess how does that work? So you guys, how'd y'all meet?
So we met at BYU.
Okay.
He just got back from his mission and was getting back into the swing of things with baseball and school and all that, and I was like in the middle of it. about to start my season as well. And we were just friends at first, and then, just like kept hanging out, and things took off from there. He got drafted that following year. So we were only at BYU at the same time for 1 year.
And so this is circa
2019 is when he got drafted. We met in 2018. He got drafted that next spring, summer.
Got it.
So
both pursuing these careers, is that easy? Is that hard? I mean, easy. What a terrible word. I'm fishing for a word, right? I guess what I'm asking is what's your recipe for it, right? I think it's individualized, but I mean, how often do you all see each other? How is it best that you support each other in your endeavors? Talk to us a little bit about your life.
Yeah, people ask this a lot, and I would say it's like as crazy as it sounds. There's no way around it, that it's chaotic for sure, but it's fun. Like, we love it. We obviously are doing it because we're choosing to do it. We don't feel like we're stuck in it or anything. We both are pursuing big things, and we know that it's not like a lifelong thing that we're going to be able to do. So we're like, let's support each other and both doing what we're working towards, and then life will kind of work out around it,
Let's get it while it's there.
Yeah. Cool. It's not like I can play soccer when I'm 50, so
for sure.
You know what I mean?
Yeah. So few of us can.
Yeah.
No, you're right. Get it while it's there to be had. I love that mentality as well.
Really cool mentality.
Yeah.
I ask because there are so many now more than ever. I mean, I think in a lot of relationships you've got both husband and wife that are career oriented.
Yeah.
And I don't think one has to die to support the other.
Yeah.
So I'd love to understand kind of how people are making it work, and specifically on a level like you guys, both acting out professional careers.
Mm-hmm.
Let me ask you this, Makayla, because we're gonna wrap up here in a second. But a couple things that I want to understand about you. One, what are your goals in terms of your professional career? What are you trying to accomplish? I asked that. Let me load it up a little bit. I think that, I'm a sports nut. I love sports. If I could even ride the bench as a water boy in the NBA, I'd sell my soul. Like, that to me would be pinnacle, right? Some people get in the league, they want to exist. They want to be relevant. They want to stick around. Some people get in the league, they want to dominate. Some want to be the best ever. Where are you at with it?
Yeah, it's funny you point out all those different personalities or goals that people might have. I think that with where I'm at in my career, I've played in so many different roles on different teams, whether it's position, the way I'm contributing to the team. Like, I was scoring a lot of goals at BYU. In the pros, I've kind of taken a different, I'm more of a defensive player, so there's different ways to contribute to a team and to find your own success. And I think now with where I'm at in my career, I'm like, I just want to be feeling like I'm reaching my maximum potential. I don't think that necessarily needs to be tracked by how many goals I score or how many assists I get, because that's not always accurate of a soccer player's success. There's a lot of different ways that you can be impactful on a team. So I just I know my skill set, and I want to execute all those skills regardless of if it actually turns into a goal or not. I just want to feel like I performed at my highest level each and every day, so that when my career ends, I feel like I never undersold myself. I didn't underperform. I reached my maximum potential, and I can be content with that.
That's cool. Kayla, I'm gonna just butt in here. I think we're on a cool level. I can call you Kayla.
Yeah, you can. We've made it.
Yeah, we did graduate. All right.
You are someone that every sports coach wants. The way you just answered that is so honestly, and I mean this in a humble way of you just want to do what's best for the team and contribute in a way, even if that means you're not scoring goals all the time. That's so cool. And so the way that you just said that, it was literally perfect. I'm like, wow, that is so, I wish I had more people in business like that. So, you know what I mean? That is just so awesome.
I was trying to figure out, just based on time, how to get around to it, right? Because you talked about it before, going from a 10, which is offensive.
Hey, you're still our 10.
That's it.
Thank you.
Going from a 10 and then going to a 6, which isn't a demotion. No. It's just a different position.
Yeah.
That is still so needed.
So relevant. But you got to figure, like, in sports, a lot of times everybody's fascinated with scoring, with offense, you know? There have been countless players making switches in take the NFL, for example. Offensive studs in college play defense in the pros.
Yeah.
It happens a lot. Mm-hmm. There's an ego thing that needs to be checked there. And I was wondering, was that a difficult pill for you to swallow, going from being a playmaker, a scorer, to having to be on the defensive side of the ball?
Yeah, to some extent, for sure, because like you said, like, people pay attention to, like, oh, who scored the goals?
No doubt.
Or, like, that's natural. And I don't blame anyone. I do the same thing.
I think that's the first thing with anything soccer, because I'm not a huge soccer.
For sure. What was the score?
Yeah.
Who scored?
Who scored?
Yeah,
Yeah.
who scored?
Especially because soccer's a low-scoring. Yeah.
No, for
Yeah.
sure.
Which, just, like, they usually are the offensive star. But, like, football's a little bit more easy to track, like, you play one side of the ball, so you're like either you're the quarterback or the receiver or whatever, and you're contributing offensively, or you're getting however many tackles and stuff.
Totally.
Soccer, like, it's not really, it's fluid, so people don't really pay attention to who's doing well defensively.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Very, very hard to put a stat on, like, call it a pursuit angle.
Yeah.
Like, you're pursuing a defender this way and maybe make them veer this way.
Yeah.
It affects the entire play, but there's no stat.
Yeah, exactly.
You know what I mean? Like, there are countless of those things, I would imagine, for sure.
Yeah.
Your teammates definitely recognize it when you do it. The rest of us don't.
Yeah.
And so, that's tough. It's kind of a tough position.
Let me, and maybe this is the last thing. And
Yeah.
You can, obviously the Olympics just finished. Is like playing for the Olympic team, is that something that's, obviously it's not easy to do, but where you're at, is that something you would try to pursue, or is that even like a thing? Like,
it is a thing for sure. So, like, growing up, there's youth camps that are like U.S. youth national camps, which build you up to playing with the senior team who's in the Olympics, you know, and World Cup and whatever. And I would get invited to those camps growing up, and, like, was a part of the system and stuff. At this point, I would need to get better. I'm not to that level
Sure, of course.
currently, but also, like, I don't know if my career is going to be long enough to get there. And I'm not. There's
an age in that too, right?
Yeah, not like they cut you off at a certain age, but, like, you got to be in your like, it's so competitive.
You cut yourself off.
Yeah.
So, I mean, your body. I mean,
exactly.
It is what it is.
Yeah. So, I mean, I would always, like, if I had a great year next year, like, that would probably be a realistic thing. Yeah. But I'm not, like, dropping everything to get to that.
Yeah. Cool. That's
cool. I love.
Well, you're not saying no.
I'm not saying no, so but that's not.
I'll have a talk with the U.S.
Yeah. Put in a good word.
I'm gonna tell you right now, I was glued to the Olympics, and now for me, it's set in stone. We're gonna watch Makayla.
Well, shoot, now you guys are putting pressure on. I better make it there.
That's right. I love the Olympics.
Oh, it's so good.
I think there's something I'd bring a gold home for you.
Hey,
the best podcast.
I was just gonna say, no doubt in my mind. You're
best water boy.
Your neck could break under the gold. You have 30 medals around.
Yeah.
Makayla, you're a delight. You're awesome. We appreciate your time. Caitlin Clark of professional soccer, right here.
Yeah, that's a big standard.
It is a big. Actually, it's before we go. It's amazing what Caitlin's done for sports, because now I legitimately want to watch all women's sports. I will for sure be watching your highlights here within the next hour or two. I want to see how you play.
Yeah, go do better.
I will.
I'm hoping I get some tickets after this.
I'm saying
I could sneak a few.
I was just gonna say. I'm saying.
Tell Jackson, sorry, I gotta get these to Donnie and Kelly.
I got enough to go around.
I'm saying, hook us up. Mad respect all the way around. We appreciate your time, and we'll be looking out for you.
Yeah, this has been awesome. So thank you guys. Thanks for having me.
For sure. Catch y'all next time.